these take effect, whatever tax cuts there are, on July 1, is it a big enough promise for the coalition to say, well, if that's what you want to do and this was so crucial to the last election, hold a new one to have the authority to do so?
Well, I mean, if you have a new election prior to July 1, that is, we've got to talk about a full Senate election, I believe. I can't remember the exact details, but I think that's a big ask to do it before July. The other alternative is that the Prime Minister actually, if they're going to make these massive changes and if they're going to insist on them applying from July 1, they need to very clearly explain to the Australian public why they have changed their position from the last election, why they're breaking election promise, and how they're going to make it up to the Australian people.
So I guess that's the question from the coalition's point of view. Will you talk only of that broken election promise, or would you look at what is being offered and look at it in terms of fairness? Do you think it's a worthy debate at least? A fair bit's changed since these tax cuts were handed down, or legislated, I should say, many years ago.
Well, yes, a lot has changed since these tax cuts were legislated, and one of the things that has changed is the increased bracket creep and the fact that more and more people are finding themselves in the upper tax brackets through no fault of their own, but just through bracket creep. So that actually means that these tax cuts are even more justified now than they were when they first passed Parliament.
All right. Just finally on the supermarket inquiry the government's called, just interested in, the sides of this, because being in the regions, I'm sure you're cognizant of farmers, producers. If the supermarket margins aren't, out of this world and they're pretty reasonable, would the call ultimately mean better prices for farmers but higher prices for consumers? Is that a possibility out of all of this?
Well, we need to understand where the costs are. So we are seeing the supermarkets record massive profit margins, huge profits in their annual reporting. But if the profit margins are actually item by item limited, where are the costs? Where are the increased costs? Are they in the freight? Are they in the power prices? We know supermarkets face the rising power prices, so do the abattoirs, and so do other steps in the production chain. We need to understand all of that so that we can have a line of sight. But yes, farmers are price takers, and it would be really good if farmers somehow, without too much harm to the consumers, but could pass on their increasing costs, just like other steps in the food production chain are able to do.
Okay. Perin Davey, appreciate your time there. Thank you.